as I say every every Friday.
Yeah. Look, today's topic on our Grow Your Tour Biz weekly session is why you should create premium offerings. And we're going to explore that topic for 25, 30 minutes. Josh and I are the co-creators of the 7-Figure Tour Business program. And we spend a lot of time in that program really encouraging people to do a couple of things: raise their prices, really focus on the premium and higher ends of the market. And we wanted to explore that topic today because many of you are potentially creating new tours and experiences. Some of you are working on existing ones, and this topic is relevant for both of those cases.
It is indeed really relevant right now as people, we've had a lot of people in our community reaching out to us at the moment, and they're right in either development stage or they're iterating their experiences, they're adapting, they're completely recreating, they're trying to sell things to a new market. And one of the very first conversations that they want to have is about discounting. And, there's a lot of myths about what a new type of customer might want to pay, what a local customer might want to pay as opposed to an international customer. And it's a really, really important topic. So we've got some very strong thoughts on that. And I wrote about this week. And one of the things I do really kind of hammer home, I guess, is that I see it as a bit of a trap. If you go into the development of a new experience, a new product, with a kind of mindset which is, well, I'm a bit nervous about charging high, so why don't I charge low, get people really interested in this product, get some buzz, get some hype, get some bookings, and grow my credibility, grow some testimonials. My confidence is going to increase. My list will eventually increase, and then I'll start charging more when people are just loving it. And it does make sense in some ways, but it's absolutely an approach that we wouldn't recommend. And we do see it, as I mentioned, as a trap. It's once you get onto that kind of slippery slope, it's really, really hard to go backwards, Kelsey. We've seen it with students in our program, and we've had to kind of have them reassess the way they look at things, because it's this kind of mindset is going to really condemn you to being unproductive. It's going to condemn you to an exhausting and really unprofitable kind of cycle. And it gets harder and harder for you to change things as this new product kind of gathers momentum, or this new business idea or these new iterated experiences gather momentum.
I think we're going to be speaking about things at a pretty high level. I shared in the comments, Josh, our Pricing for Profit. This is a free guide that Josh and I put together, and it's really going to help you think about your pricing. So for those of you who are in the program, this is nothing new, nothing too different than some of the resources that you already have. But for those out there who would love some help with pricing, feel free to use this. We put this out in the world to help operators, not just who are in our programs or on our training sessions. Lots of people coming in. Carmen, Steve, great to be back. Awesome. Michael, Nuno, fantastic, guys. Feel free to use those comments in the chat. This is the first time that we're attempting to stream on Facebook and YouTube at the same time. So that's exciting for us. Fingers crossed. So let's first begin with the caveat, and then Josh, you can sort of walk through the mindset angle, because I think that is the biggest thing to overcome. Whether these are customers I've worked with for many, many years in our Lead Amazing Tours program, and then more concretely on expanding your business with Josh and 7-Figure Tour Business. The journey when people actually start raising their prices, when they actually start to really overcome all those anxieties and fears, they quickly realize that oftentimes sales increase when you raise your prices. And often that creates a snowball effect, as we're going to get into in just a moment. But Josh, I guess what I wanted to mention just off the top is it's really about selecting your customer too. Because I think a lot of tour and activity businesses really benefited from the surge in tourism, like just growing year after year. And we didn't really need to hone too deeply into our ideal customer avatar, who our tours exactly serving. And one of the downsides of that is you're not able to tap into those individuals who might be willing to pay substantially more for that experience, but they're playing those low prices because you happen to be serving other people who are maybe constantly complaining about the prices, who are really saying, yeah, I feel this is good value. But there are many people on your tour where you are ultimately losing value because the perceived value of the tour is actually substantially higher.
100%, and really dialing in that customer avatar and getting crystal clear on who it is that you want to serve, because then it's going to enable you to really develop something that is solving that pain, satiating those desires, which means that people will pay more for it. Because that mindset that you spoke about, Kelsey, once it can seem fairly, you can give yourself false hope. If you're starting out with a low price point, you're going to really start making some sales early on. You might not be sure who it is that you're wanting to serve, but those sales are going to be fairly easy, and you might do a bunch of sales early on and you're going to think, wow, I'm on to a winner here. But the problem then arises when you realize that you're going to have to continue to make those low cost sales. The snowball is going to continue to grow, and you're going to need more customers. You're going to need bigger distribution partners, a bigger list, and you're going to have to continue to make these. And not to mention the drain on operations to run these low-cost experiences at the same time that you're trying to find new ways to sell. So it gets really, really exhausting really, really quickly. And you kind of, you're really paddling furiously. And then all of a sudden you look up and you're in the same place you were when you started. So
total revenue is a lot higher. You've got even less time. You've got a bigger operation. In many cases, that leads to more stress. When things go wrong, more shit hits a bigger fan. But you find yourself no further ahead in terms of many of our goals around our lifestyle design or the types of wage that you want to be able to be drawing from your tour and activity business, let alone the profits that you could ultimately extract from all this effort that you're investing into building a business.
Exactly, and just before we flip over to an alternative way of looking at things, you make mistakes, you get tired, you get exhausted, you get a bit overwhelmed, you get a bit, you're desperate for solutions, so you start bringing people in really quickly, and you don't think that through. You bring in either too many of them, or you bring in the wrong kind of people, and you give yourself more headaches. And then on that, you're out there, you're looking for solutions, which is a good thing, but you're loading up your business with stuff you probably don't really need to enable you to continue to sell low-cost offerings that aren't really making you any money. So it gets into now, just on one point here, I do want to say we have students in our program that have got a really good business model, a low-cost offering, that they have got a really seamless operation, that they're making they're doing good revenue, they're making good profits, and it is possible. I'm not saying it's not possible at all, and I've seen examples where it is possible. But I've also
those Walmart folks are doing reasonably well, competing on price. And there's tons of companies that do ultimately focus on maybe younger travelers or free independent travelers, or focus on youth hostels. And inevitably they're working for lower margins, but they're looking at doing higher volumes. They're really the ones that do this successfully are able to lock them into multiple purchases, where the first one might be a free tour. The next one might be, hey, join us for an evening tour. Hey, we've got some vehicles running out to these sites outside of the city that it's going to be difficult for you to get to. Jump on. And so you're, the customer value chain is one way where you're still earning maybe more of that profit margin, but on subsequent product.
And that leads into the alternative mindset, because I experienced this firsthand, Kelsey, and I found that as I dialed my customer avatar in more closely, so really dialed it in, I found that once I developed higher ticket offerings, I started selling more of them than the ones that I had. And I'll give you some examples of that in a second. So, and to me, it was fascinating. So I'm a massive advocate. I ran private tours. I never ran any scheduled tours ever in my business. And it was a mindset that I adopted from day one. And again, I'm not saying everyone needs to go private, but my mindset was, why am I going to bust my chops? Why am I going to give myself operational headaches? If I'm running a tour, then I want to be making money from it. So, I saw so many at the time, and they may just have had not particularly great business models, but so many people when I was starting out were saying to me, oh, well, look, I run this on a minimum of 4, but it breaks even at 5, and sometimes I'll run them for nothing because it's great for the brand and it gives them, and all this stuff. And I was like, what are you talking about? Why get out of bed in the morning if you're not making money? And that was my philosophy on the whole thing, and that's the philosophy that I adopted right the way through. So I was really big on that. But a low ticket offering is something you can introduce, but I would flip it. So I would say something along the lines of, I'm going to launch this business, this new experience. I'm going to charge a premium for a high-end experience because I know that I'm really, really good at what I do, and I know that I can really, really deliver some value. And after that, when I've built some cash reserves and I've got a big network of raving fans, great testimonials, and I've got the operational systems in place, then and only then might I consider offering a lower cost experience to complement my premium experience. So I would really kind of flip it on its head.
Yeah, and you can think about this too, where there's these great examples of software companies, and so they have this product and they put it out. I was reading a case study on this just the other day, and they said, well, look, $79 just feels like the right place for our product or service, and so there's a lot of these intuitions, the things that we feel, or we don't really base on numbers. And so there's a series of pricing mistakes. We won't have time to go through them today, but, doing things like basing the price on your costs, not the perceived value of your tour, is a common mistake we see. Basing the price on the marketplace, you're just looking out and saying, well, look, everybody else is charging this. I guess I should charge something comparable, or I can only go slightly above it. Attempting to achieve similar profit margins across different products, different tours, that can be a mistake because of different costs associated with different tours. And maybe some there's just a much higher perceived value from any individual customer. And so the story with the case study with the software was, well, hey, 79 felt like the sweet spot. But what they actually found is they had two customers. They had a more average consumer and then a professional. And this was buying a tool that they could use. And the details don't really matter, but basically it was too high. The price was just too high for the average consumer would probably be willing to pay something like, $30 or $40 for this tool. Let's say it's like a graphic design tool. And then there were the professionals who felt like that price was cheap. It felt like a cheap tool. It was low, and they were worried about buying something like that, or were looking at other offerings in the marketplace and say, whoa, this $2,000 one seems like it's more feature rich, or at least the way that it was presented. So even though they kind of felt like, hey, we think this is the approximate value, the observation that they missed is that you have different perceived value for different customers. And even though that software tool was more or less the same, it was how it was packaged, it was how it was positioned, and it was how it was marketed towards that individual. So they did price that tool with the consumer-friendly features, and it was dialed in right to them. And they were able to sell an incredible amount, make great margin, and then they were able to mark it up tremendously for the professional side and actually dramatically increase their sales. And Josh, it might be worth pulling up your PDF there, and we can kind of showcase this, because when you started out as the man with the van, I assume you didn't go right for those high premium prices right off the bat. Or
no, exactly right. Now I'm just trying to work out where I'm gonna. Are you gonna share my screen there?
Yeah. So you do it on your end, and then I'll share it in the stream.
Right. Okay. So let's give that a go. Share screen. And we're going to go like that.
Sure. While you do it, just a quick reminder, Kelsey and Josh, we're the co-creators of the 7-Figure Tour Business Program. We shared earlier in the comments have a look for it, pricing for profit, free. It's kind of like a bit of like a worksheet, some guidelines that we hope you'll find useful, whether you're working on new tours right now, maybe working on some existing ones, or even taking a bit of a break. We definitely feel that this is going to be the time to work on your tours. And in today's session, we're talking about why that premium pricing can really set you up for success in lots of ways. And for too many people, it's just a mindset that people aren't willing to pay those types of prices. And we want to share quickly, as we move to the latter half of this session, some examples of companies that are thriving with incredibly huge differences in prices, with very little differences in terms of the actual product or experience. And so
let's do that. Have I got my...
Yeah, if I share it, I'm going to see the Facebook. So if you go over to whatever screen you want to share, I'm actually looking at our stream right now.
Right. Okay. All right. Let's do that again, because I have.
Yeah. So I'm going to close your share screen and then maybe share a different, maybe it was a Chrome tab or something like that. While you're doing that, let's see if I can share these examples from the Barossa Wine Valley, because I think people will find this really interesting, and then you'll be able to share some of yours. So if I go up to show in screen.
Well, I'm all loaded up there if you want to.
Okay.
Yeah. How's that? I mean, you're seeing what I'm seeing there?
Yes. Private tours.
Good. So really quickly, I'll just give you a couple of examples. I've just pulled these up. So this is I guess you could say, my experience menu. So we've got our collection of unforgettable journeys. There they are listed there, which gives a bit of an what those different types of experiences comprised. Now, I'll just give you an example. Let's say here I've got my Melbourne After Dark experience. And just to give you an insight, some of the prices that we charge. So for a private tour for two, that retail at $1,365 and a net of just over $1,000. Let's say for a family group of let's call it 5 or 6, that was a $2,500 4-hour tour. Now the next time I'll show you, I'll give you a specific example of how I change or I guess raise the bar and priced accordingly. So if we look here at this one here, a Food Lovers Melbourne Walk. Now that was a 2.5. So I think it was about a 3-hour. God, it's a bit of a way back now. But that was a foodie walking tour, behind the scenes private foodie walking tour, and that was a 4-hour tour. 2 packs. It was $1,300. For 4, it was $1,600. Now, we had our customer avatar dialed in so well. It was the high-end North American market, a lot of the Californian sort of country club style visitor, and they just lapped that expense up. But we wanted to raise the bar, so just keep that price point in mind. Let's say two couples traveling together, $1,600. We created a new tour called A Day with a Melbourne Foodie, and that was a really experiential tour where we actually had a local culinary identity join us for the day, and we really got behind the scenes, insider access, exclusive foodie type experiences with renowned local culinary experts. Now that tour, we increased the price from $2,000 to $3,000, just over $3,000 for 2 packs for a private tour. The price increased; it literally doubled from about $1,300 to $2,500 for a private tour for 2 packs, and we sold more of that. That sold more so obviously revenue went through the roof, but actually we took more bookings for that Day with the Melbourne Foodie than we did for our Food Lovers Melbourne Walk over a 12-month period. So
just keep in mind, we're talking here about a half day and a full day food tour, and we all know the sort of average prices for food tours out there. Most cities have lower priced group tours that you can hop on. And so we're talking about people here who are actively, enthusiastically choosing to spend in the half day, in your case there, I think it was around $350 per person for that 4-hour experience, and as high as $750 for that Day with the Melbourne Foodie per person. So multiply that out times a family of 4. That same family of 4 had tons of other options to join in another food tour. There are definitely some disadvantages to going with other people, but we're talking about just orders of magnitude higher prices. And
just
so,
one
Josh,
more
were you,
example.
go for it. Yeah.
Sorry, really quickly. If you can check in there. Now, I just want to give you this other example. This is a Great Ocean Road tour. Can you see that in the middle there? It's a 12-hour tour, and the Great Ocean Road is one of the most beautiful coastal roads on the planet. It's a fantastic tour. This was a road-based tour. Again, let's use this as an example. So a 2-person private tour, luxury vehicle, 12 hours was $1,500 for that experience. Now, we wanted to raise the bar. We listened to our customer. We had our customer avatar so dialed in that we created what we call our Great Ocean Road Drive Fly experience. Now, I'll just find that on the rate sheet here. Great Ocean Road Drive Fly. So that comprised, basically that turned that into a 9-hour day, and we had one of the most spectacular low altitude light wing flights, a 45-minute flight that was incorporated into that day. And that changed the price to $2,223. And then we did something even, and I don't know if that's actually going to be in here, but we created what we called our ultimate Great Ocean Road, which had a helicopter component, and that brought that price up to about $4,000 for 2 packs. Now, you can stop sharing now, Kelsey, but the point is, again, our Great Ocean Road Drive Fly, the extra $1,000 that tour became for a shorter 9-hour tour with a low altitude flight involved, that again increased sales. So we sold more of that than our traditional road-based experience.
And this was happening during an intentional shift to a different, potentially different customers than maybe you were first working with when you had just started out in those first couple of years. Yeah. It came from really looking at who is coming on your tours and then saying, hey, who are our ideal customers, and how can we serve them at a higher level? How can we ultimately tap into the fact that they're willing to pay a lot more for X, Y, and Z? And then as you figure it out, this whole notion of, hey, let's not just have it be, make it so it's not easy to compare to another food tour. Yeah. Let's not just make it easy to compare to the hundreds of other tour companies that could take you out along the Great Ocean Road. You really differentiated yourself. And one of my favorite things that you teach in the 7-Figure Tour Business Program is really this notion of when somebody asks you, hey, why should I pay more? That is one of the favorite questions that you love to answer, that you are ready to lay it all out. Here is exactly why, if you go with somebody else, you're going to be missing out. Here is why we charge so much more, because of X, Y, and Z. And we totally understand if you don't want to come with us, but let me tell you, it's going to be worth every penny. And when you get that type of clarity and what you're saying is resonating with the right people, that's where the magic really starts to happen.
That's exactly right. And to have the ability for you to actually close or convert or your team on the phone is really, really important. And I had a small but mighty reservations team. And when they got that question, why do you charge so much? Why would we go with you? And I'd had it drilled into them. They would always rub their hands together and go, that's a really good question. Let me take a shot at answering it. And their conversion rate was really, really high, because one of the reasons that we had developed products like this is that we spent so much time with our customers. And one of the things that they love to talk about so much was their past trips. A lot of our customers, North Americans, we found that a lot of them had been to New Zealand before they came to us, but a lot of it also traveled in Southern Africa. They've done the whole safari, experience in Namibia, Botswana, South Africa. And if you haven't been over there, the way they do luxury it blows your mind, And so we would engage a lot of them. Tell us about someone like those most memorable trips that you've done. What made them so special? What's like the biggest hero moment in any trip that you've had? And they would just talk so passionately and articulately about their previous experiences. And we could extract the kind of things that really made that, obviously you can't drop African wildlife into central Melbourne, but the way that their trips are put together over there, we learned so much from the experiences that our customers had before they came to us.
Yeah, here's one more example. This is just in the, let me switch over to that tab, the Barossa Wine Valley, a wine and food lovers tour for $149. You can see here that it operates daily. They are operating right now in the pandemic. Looks like a full day tour here, right? We have a slightly discounted price for children. And if you look through the description here, they're not all that different from some of the other options that we see here in the Barossa Valley. So this one focuses on groups, but more on the private end. But you can see here, now we're looking at a pretty substantial jump in price, up to $900 for a couple passengers, but a day of indulgence. It's not all that different than the previous tour. Now, again, they have small vehicle operators. These are not big buses where they're loading people up. So the group size isn't all that different, but we see a difference in positioning. And obviously they're looking to tap into the segment of the market who wants to visit that beautiful Barossa wine region. That's outside of Adelaide. Is that correct?
It is.
Yeah, it departs Adelaide, 9 a.m. Yeah. And then check these guys. Go for it.
No, please continue, mate. I'll jump in after that.
So this is the Taylor Australian handcrafted journeys, Barossa from paddock to plate at Hutton Vale. And again, you see certainly just even from the design of the website here, the way that they're talking about their tours, Australian luxury travel designer. You can bet here that, yep, for two guests, $1,500 per person even. So that's, almost $3,000 for what in essence is not all that different of an experience. Now, the way that experience is executed is, the stuff that we talk about in Lead Amazing Tours that Josh and I talk about in this program. We want you to be creating guest experiences at that kind of level. And then when we come back to you and say, and by the way, you can charge 2 times, 3 times as much because you're creating really, really remarkable experiences. You're doing something that no one else is doing, and that is worth way more than your charge.
It is. And Kelsey, really good point there. I'm glad you brought up that the Taylor. Now, the Taylor is for all of you in Australia, you might know Drew, the owner of the Taylor. They're an inbound tour operator. Mm-hmm. So they have ground operators around Australia that they put more work into their ground operators than most ITOs I know. But what that first example that you showed, I suspect that the lower price point comes from their reluctance to work with distribution partners. So the ground operator that Drew, that the Taylor is using for that experience, well, there's a 25 to 30% commission built into that. So that ground operator is probably charging $1,000 to $1,200, which is still a really, really premium price. The first operator has made the decision that they will not pay commissions of 25% to a distribution partner. So again, another real benefit of going high ticket, of going premium, is that you can comfortably build a 25% commission. And what you need to do is have your avatar, your customer, you need to understand who you're selling to, and you can inflate the price of your experience by adding special features, by creating that premium experience, which means that you're not actually having to find 25% in your rate structure. You're just charging 25% more. And when you're building that product out, you're putting a really good fat margin in there, and people are going to want to take that experience because it speaks to them, it resonates with them, it's head and shoulders a better option for them to choose than the one down the road and the one down the road after that are offering a more moderately priced experience.
I worked for Backroads Tours, a multi-day tour operator, and I was very much involved in taking over multi-day trips, and building out the itineraries, the flow, and really discovering, hey, who are the best local operators, the best local guides or companies to work with. And I remember finding this wine tour guide who came, and he had a small to medium-sized tour business. I think there were 3 or so on the team. They had some small vehicles. They had mid-range pricing, but they were doing these private, essentially group bookings for us, but we were running tours every week. So I could come in, and after I saw what he could do, the type of experience that he created, I'm coming in as a large international operator saying basically, hey, I want to book you solid for the next, 4 months. I want 25 dates. And of course, I'm coming in that position of negotiation too, that, hey, I'd like to have a discount. Now, I remember this one example from Burgundy. I kind of told him, I was like, look, I know what we're paying for this type of experience in other regions. I'm not supposed to be telling you this, but hey, over the next few years, if you are continuing to work with Backroads, I would aim to double, if not triple, the rates that you're charging us. I appreciate the generosity. This was, of course, after seeing that he was able to deliver consistently. The guests raved about this wine experience. It was down in the cellar of an old chateau and just was one of the highlights of the trip. And I said to him, like, look, you're just not charging what you're worth. Even if you're coming into the negotiation with a price that's 2 or 3 times higher, then I can comfortably knock that down a little bit, but you still have that excellent margin. And that's the same sort of thing that's happening when you are working with distribution. It's just the case with some of those multi-day operators that they might be finding you based on reputation, because that's what I had to do, right? I'd go in and say, hey, who are the best, who's providing the best experiences here? I need somebody who can create the most memorable evening possible to learn about Chablis wines. And if your name comes up because you've been so focused on your guest experience, well, then those opportunities will find you. Just like how articles in newspapers or the guidebook people, the Folders, the Lonely Planet, the others,
exactly,
you can rise to the top. These are all things that are outside of just TripAdvisor reviews and ratings.
And then the other thing as well on that note, another massive plus is that your business is just a hell of a lot more fun to run. Like, life is more fun when you're offering cooler experiences, but your staff love it. Now, and what that does is that it means that you get the pick of the best available talent. They're coming to you. They want to work for you because you offer such a great environment for them to work in. There is so much more joy out of a high ticket premium experience than there is out of, I believe, people out there might say, well, actually, I've got a different view on that. But my belief is that it is so much more enjoyable to run a business and so much more enjoyable for your staff when you're offering a high ticket experience, and you get
rewarded for that. Yeah, you get rewarded because it's, man, we're working with these hundreds and hundreds of tour and activity business owners around the world. We get them to really level up their game. Sometimes it costs more operationally to create these incredible experiences. Oftentimes it doesn't cost that much more. But if you're not increasing and aiming for a more premium segment of the market, then you can get burnt out. You really can. This is one of the most common and relatable feelings amongst operators. So we're going to wrap things up here. I'm going to paste in 2 links if you'd like some help launching, online tours and experiences. Our virtual tour business program continues to go on. We've got lots of students in there. And Josh, I'll let you talk about local market recovery, which is a program exclusively with the Sunshine Tribe training. And you've got a special that's ending today, I believe, Josh.
I do indeed. Have you got the link there for that one as well, mate?
I will post it in. Yep.
Okay, great. So yeah, we're actually closing enrollment. So we've had that open now for about 3 to 4 weeks, and we are closing enrollment for local market recovery tonight, midnight, this Thursday today. And so what I can do is then get to work and help those that have enrolled over the last 3 or 4 weeks to start getting those results that they need. And if you're not familiar with the program, I'm not going to talk a great deal about it, but effectively it is a step-by-step kind of roadmap for an experience, a tour, or an activity to put into action right now to rapidly start finding customers that are closer to home, your local destination, interstate or intrastate, as many destinations continue to open up, to offset the damage that is being caused to your business by the lack of international visitors, which I'm sure you're all feeling out there. So the details are in that link there. We close enrollment at midnight tonight. And I have also included for, due to popular request, a payment plan option that you can take advantage of now. You can dive in and get into local market recovery for 6 monthly payments. I think it's $79. So yeah, hope to see you in the program. And that pricing for profit guide, I think you dropped that in little earlier, Kelsey.
Yeah, if you want some more help with pricing and covering more some of those mistakes, how to think about percentages for profit, percentages for distribution, etc. That guide we put together for you. It's free of charge, a little gift from us to you. We hope you're staying well out there. We look forward to seeing you in the next round. Stevie T saying hi from Liverpool, Mop Top Tours over there. We hope you are well no matter where you are.